presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Ohio.
Walking into the ballpark today may need jackets like last night. Cool and overcast, but there will be baseball. Second game of this series, the Pirates and the Reds on Fox Sports Ohio. Hi, and a pleasant good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Reds Baseball and our Champion Windows broadcast booth. I'm Jim Kelch, along with Chris Welsh. Well, Chris, there's been a lot of talk in Reds Live today about the switching of the starters, Mike Leake and Edinson Volquez, because of a stiff neck for Volquez. What's your take on all this?
Well, you know, if you have a stiff neck, you can't pitch. I think every pitcher's gone through that at one time or another. You like to give a little bit more warning than the night before, but fortunately, with the off day on Thursday, this is Mike Leake's normal day to pitch if you consider him on a five-man rotation. So Edinson Volquez will be scratched, and it'll be Mike Leake today, and that's really what everybody's mind is on. I mean, Edinson Volquez is eventually going to get better. That's no big deal, but you want to win this ball game. The Pirates came out and really took it to the Reds last night. You want Leake to get out there and get after it, mainly throwing strikes, changing speeds like he did in the first half of last year.
And Dusty Baker comments on the start today by Mike Leake.
Well, it was just a matter of Volquez. I don't know if he slept wrong or if he was on the plane like we were a couple of days ago when he came in, and he said he had a crook in his neck. I think it's on this side, I think. And anybody that's had a crook in their neck knows it's very, very uncomfortable. And so, you know, it was tight, and so we decided to bump him back a day, and hopefully he'll be better tomorrow. And also Leake was on an extra day's rest anyway, so we just flip-flopped those two guys.
So it'll be Volquez tomorrow. It'll be Leake today. Mike will make his fourth career start against the Pirates, still looking for his first win against them. We'll come back with more from Great American Ballpark right after this. Second game of this 4-game series here at Great American Ballpark. The Pirates and the Reds, with the Pirates picking up the victory here last night, and they will face Mike Leake for the first time this year and for the fourth time in his career. He had a victory against Houston his first time out, ran into some trouble at Arizona his last time out.
Well, Mike Leake is a guy, you know, Jim, that has to be really on the edges of the strike zone. He's not overpowering by any means. He makes his money by changing speeds, getting the hitters off their stride, working the ball in and out. And if you look at the numbers of Mike Leake and you start to really digest him a little bit, you find out that he's very good the first, second time that the hitter sees him in a ball game. And then the batting average jumps with some familiarity. So he's a guy that is going to have to constantly make adjustments. He's ready to pitch today. I did talk to him before the game. Moving him up one day because of Edinson Volquez's stiff neck is no big deal for Mike Leake. I expect him to come out, throw strikes. He knows that he better pitch well because he's got a couple of guys ready to come off the disabled list, and I think this guy's very motivated to have a good game.
Yeah, the big thing today for the Reds, of course, is offense. They scored just one run last night, and they look to get the offense going here this afternoon against the Pirates.
When you need them. Find an agent or get a quote at statefarm.com. By your local Ford dealer. Drive one. By Cincinnati USA. Come for the Reds, stay for more fun. Book your trip at CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili. When you're feeling good and hungry, it's Skyline time.
Reds have taken the field here on this chilly Saturday afternoon, and as always, during day games, they are wearing their red tops with Mike Leake on the mound. He's finished his warm-up tosses, and he's ready to face this lineup put out there today by the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pretty much the same as yesterday with regard to the lineup other than the catcher. It's McCutchen, Tabata, and Overbay. Neil Walker, Pedro Alvarez, and there's Ryan Doman in the 6th spot. Bottom three, Garrett Jones, Ronnie Cedeno, and the young right-hander James McDonald. Mike Leake makes start number 3 here today.
You know, Jim, in the pregame show, I said one wrong thing, and I want to correct myself. The wind is not blowing in today. It's blowing out, coming right down the river out of the west, and it's blowing hard. So this might be a little better day for hitters today than it was yesterday when it was blowing in.
Andrew McCutchen for the second consecutive game leads things off for the Pirates. Good start as Leake gets a strike in there. McCutchen had a very rough night last night. He was 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts. The first time in his career he had fanned 4 times, and he makes up for that here as he lines his 0-1 pitch into center and a base hit. Here's the defensive look brought to you by Ford behind Mike Leake. Gomes, Stubbs, Bruce, same as last night in the outfield. Francisco at third today for the Reds. Giannis and Miguel Cairo still the middle infielders with Votto at first. And Ramon Hernandez catches Mike Leake. And Francisco is now in at the edge of the grass at third with Jose Tabata up there. Hitting .354 with a couple of home runs. And he had a nice night here last night. 4 out of 5. It was a career best for him in terms of the number of hits. Jumped his average from 302, just over the 300 mark, to 354. Mike Leake has walked a pair in each game thus far this year. 2 here against Houston, 2 down in Arizona. But it was the 5th inning of that game last Sunday at Arizona that did him in, and partly because of a ball hit back to him. It was softly hit. Chris, you as a pitcher can relate. It was one of those that you're trying to judge where the ball is. You put your glove up, it tipped his glove, rolled away, and that kind of started things in that inning.
Yeah, it's funny. It looks so easy on TV and even when you're at the ballpark, but it's the same way that a changeup fools a hitter. A changeup hit back at you fools the pitcher. You jab at it a couple of times, and he just couldn't get the good glove on it.
End result of that inning was a 3-run homer by Ryan Roberts, and Mike did not make it through that frame. Gave up a total of 6 runs. That was a career worst for him. 9 hits and 4 2/3. He comes in at 1-0. 6.75 ERA. Leake consistently working inside to the Pirate left fielder. Misses there.
Well, that's an easy part of the strike zone for a right-handed pitcher to throw to. Inside to a right-hander, because your ball naturally moves that way when you're right-handed. Mike Leake's got plenty of movement, so he's going to try to get it right in there and take some of the power away from Tabata when he does go with a fastball near the part of the plate.
McCutchen is going after the strikeout. The ball goes into center field. McCutchen gets the theft, his first of the year.
Well, he picked a good pitch to go on, McCutchen did, because 3-2 count, looking for Mike Leake after an inside fastball to throw a breaking ball. And he throws it down right there, and it looks like Miguel Cairo is just trying to glove it and make the tag at the same time, hoping that that ball goes into his glove. As it turns out, though, as soon as that play begins, the best part of it, what I can see, is that Drew Stubbs starts charging in from center field. He knows immediately if the ball comes by the second baseman, he's going to be the guy to back up to make sure that McCutchen doesn't advance one base further.
McCutchen gets the theft. A year ago he had 33, a career best for him, and that's his first one this year. The Pirates have a first inning opportunity. They stole 1 base last night. They came into this series middle of the pack with 8 steals, so they're 10th of the year. They look to Lyle Overbay, who had a pair of hits last night. He was one of 4. Pirates have a multi-hit game in support of Clint Hurdle's Pirates and their victory here last night by the final of 6-1. Overbay, having come over from the Blue Jays in the offseason, never faced Mike Leake. Stands in there against him for the first time here today.
You know, it's interesting when you watch Mike Leake pitch. If you pay attention to the radar gun that we show you in the top of the screen, I mean, he'll never throw 2 pitches at the same speed back to back. It's always a fastball a little bit off, then a changeup, a breaking ball, and the hitter never really gets a chance to get in a good rhythm.
Right side, good hop for Joey Votto, who adjusts well and feeds Leake. Overbay gone 3-1 for the second out. McCutchen does move up.
And the other thing about Mike Leake is that if you're sitting at home and you're not a young man that throws an overpowering fastball, Mike Leake gives you the glimpse that maybe you can be a big league pitcher. That last pitch to Lyle Overbay, a very good major league hitter, got him out, jammed him, and it was an 86-mile-an-hour fastball. So you don't have to be overpowering. You just have to have a little bit of, you know, stage presence on the mound, know what you're doing, change speeds, and have confidence enough in your stuff to attack the hitters. And I think that's the key to Mike Leake being here at such a young age.
Here's the switch hitting Neil Walker. Walker in last night's game had a hit, a couple of RBIs. That 2-run homer in the 4th highlighted that 3-run inning. couldn't see it there, but McCutchen came charging down the third base line, trying to distract Mike Leake.
Or distract Ramon Hernandez. And maybe what he ended up doing was distracting the hitter in the box, Neil Walker.
Now Leake has fallen behind 3-0. Walker leads his club in RBIs with 11, 3 home runs. He walks on 4 pitches, so a hit, a steal, and a walk in this inning against Leake by the Pirates. They have them at the corners with 2 men out for Pedro Alvarez. You take a look at the hat of Mike Leake. We've noticed it before. He has that big spot of rosin right there where he reaches up. What if that's distracting to the hitter, and at some point he may be asked not to do that?
If the hitter's looking at that, he's looking at the wrong thing. I don't think it's going to be a problem at all. The only time it's become a problem, a similar spot on the hat of Bronson Arroyo last year when Dave Duncan, the pitching coach for the Cardinals, took issue with it and implied that he was doctoring the ball up with some pine tar. But rosin is legal, and you know, as long as you put it on your hand, you don't apply it directly to the ball. And you know what Mike Leake does, if you watch him, he licks his finger to get a little bit of moisture. Then you get that rosin that's on his cap, and that's where it gets kind of tacky. And that's what a pitcher is looking for, especially on a cool day. It's just some kind of a feel for the fingertips on the baseball on the seams.
Gets a strike in there to Alvarez, and now he's ahead of the Pirate third baseman, 2 strikes. Alvarez 1 for 5 last night. McCutchen was the only Pirates player one night ago that did not have a hit. Alvarez still struggling under 200. Giannis handles it himself, and Leake works around the hit and the walk. 1/2 inning, no score. Great American Ballpark. Top of the first against the Pirates, and so his mates now get a chance to face the right-hander James McDonald. Here's the lineup put out by Dusty Baker today. Stubbs, Cairo in there for the 2nd consecutive day, replacing Brandon Phillips. Then Votto, it's Gomes, Bruce, and Francisco over third, replacing Roland this afternoon. Ramon Hernandez catches, while Giannis and Mike Leake round things out. James McDonald making his 3rd start of the season for this Pirates club.
A big, tall right-hander from California, 6 feet 5 inches tall, is James McDonald, and he's 195 pounds. He throws the ball pretty well. He's got a fastball anywhere from 91 to 95 miles an hour, but his main pitch and his bread and butter is that big overhand curveball, and he'll lock you up with that one. He can throw strikes with it.
He faces Stubbs to get the bottom of the first going. Drew at 283 after a pair of hits last night. Stubbs now has 3 consecutive 2-hit games. It's Jim Wolf calling the balls and strikes here this afternoon. Darrell Cousins is at first, Jim Joyce at second, Ron Kulpa, the third base umpire. Mentioned last night, but it bears repeating that Stubbs has been a little bit streaky. Started off very well for the Reds, 8 for his first 20, then went into a slump, 1 for 20. Now a couple of hits last night, actually 6 hits now in his last 11 at bats overall, 6 for 15 in his last 3 games.
You know, it's funny, Jim, how some players get that rap of being a streaky player. But if you look at young players overall, they're going to give you streaks like that. Jay Bruce is the same way. Drew Stubbs is the same way. Votto, when he first was coming up, was very much the same way. And it's very rare to find a young player that's going to give you a consistent 6 months in the season. You know, they get hot, they get cold, they adjust, they're unable to adjust, and you got to ride them with it. I mean, sometimes you've got those peaks and valleys that come through, and you just have to ride it on out.
And in the end, the numbers that Bruce put up last year, the numbers that Stubbs put up, you'll take those.
Sure.
Here's Miguel Cairo playing second base. Yesterday hit 7th. Today batting out of the 2 spot. Brandon Phillips, and Dusty talked about it before the game, probably could have played today, but Dusty says when they're ready, I like to give them one more day. He was asked, did Brandon come to you today and try to lobby to get in the lineup? He said no, he understands. Slightly strained groin, suffered in that last game out in San Diego, and he also mentioned that the weather factor and the turf plays a part in keeping him out of the lineup today.
Well, you know, he's a very athletic player, and if you let Brandon Phillips get in the lineup and play, he's not going to play at 50% effort. He's going out there and just playing right to the wall. So you want to make sure that when he goes out there, he'll be healthy enough not to re-injure himself and end up being on the disabled list with a more major injury.
Miguel 1 for 4 in the game last night. Well, he gives you a solid effort every time he goes out there, doesn't he?
Well, you know, he's a guy that this is the first time in his career, and I think he's been around for about 15 years, that he's ever been on a multi-year contract. And it's a reward for him. He knows what it's like to be at the bottom of the roster, at the back of the depth chart, to be battling his way onto a team year after year. And he's just a solid player. Solid in the clubhouse, good leader. He just comes prepared, and he shows the younger players on the ball club what it's all about. He's been on some championship teams, and I think that's one reason why he's here.
Domit coming back and has a play on the warning track area, and so Cairo is retired. There are 2 men out. Let's take a look at our 4 defensive look at this Pittsburgh club. Behind the right-hander James McDonald, their outfield includes Tabata, McCutcheon, and Jones. Left to right. Infield is Alvarez, Cedeno, Walker, and Overbay, the same as last night. Ryan Domit catching in this game. Chris Snyder caught last night. James McDonald, he's on the mound. He'll try to repeat the effort turned in last night by the right-hander Charlie Morton. First pitch swinging, Votto. Tabata has it, and a 1-2-3 frame by James McDonald. 1 complete, no score. Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. series. Jay Bruce hit the home run last night, getting the Reds on the board for the only time. It was his first of the year. Ended a 12-inning scoreless drought for the Reds. Let's see if they can break through more today. Our Elk and Elk storyline. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Ironic that Bruce hit his first of the year last year in Game 13. Does it again this year. It's a switch hitting catcher Ryan Doman leading off here in the top of the second. They have their regular catching tandem now with Doman, a switch hitter, Chris Snyder, right-handed hitter. We've seen them both now in the first two games of this series. Jason Jaramillo had been with this club filling in for Snyder, who was out on the DL early. Doman at 241 with a home run. Yes, that is the sun peeking out for the first time in a couple of days. Cairo hasn't played perfectly as they had the big shift on the catcher Doman. He's out second to first. Batter will be Garrett Jones. Well, Milwaukee lost their game last night, so the Reds still in first place as they enter play today. 3 games over at 8 wins, 5 losses. This Pittsburgh club comes in at a game under at 6-7. They've got to be thrilled down there, Chris, the way things are started on the road for them, having only won 17 road games all of last year. They've already won 5 this year.
Well, you know, you got to figure that with the attendance the way it is in Pittsburgh, that the atmosphere for playing exciting baseball would actually be better for the Pirates on the road than it would be at home. I mean, after a while, you're a long homestand. You know, no one's showing up. It's a beautiful ballpark, but it's half empty most of the time. And sometimes these guys get, you know, a little more excited when they get on the road. I think this year they're going to be a lot better ball club. I mean, it starts from the top. I think Clint Hurdle has a new attitude that he's trying to like dispense to the guys on this ball club. They're not going to win it this year. I don't think their expectations are that, but they certainly want to be a whole lot better, and I think they will be.
Jones is going to drop that one into right in front of Bruce for a base hit. So Garrett Jones, who had a single, a home run last night, he gets on with a base hit here. Speaking of the National League Central, our look at the Honda standings in the NL Central show the Reds in front of the Brewers by a game and the Cardinals by a game and a half. This Pittsburgh club tied with Chicago for 4th. Milwaukee, remember, started 0-4, so they're 7-2 since those first 4 games.
Yeah, 5 teams bunched up within 2 games of the top, and that's you know, the Reds hoped that they were able to make a little more distance between themselves and the rest of the division, but it's just not going to happen all that easily.
And yes, the wire-to-wire is still intact here in day 14 of the season.
I'm not addressing that on April 16th. Ask me August 16th, okay? Or maybe September 16th.
Now, the Reds do have another series coming up with that Milwaukee club on the next road trip. They'll go to St. Louis for 3 over the weekend, starting on Friday the 22nd, then into Milwaukee for 3. And you've got to wonder, that's a little over a week from now when that Milwaukee series will end, if Zach Greinke will be ready by then.
Well, he's going out to pitch on a rehab start on Tuesday. And normally when you miss as much time as Greinke has missed, you're going to pitch a couple of rehab starts. So that will be interesting to see exactly what his progress is, how he feels, and how his pitch count is, and so on. I know that they're very anxious to get him in that starting rotation. He's the difference maker.
Reds play for the double play, and there's a ball toward the middle. Cairo, Yanish, and Votto. And an inning-ending 4-6-3 double play. Nicely done by the Reds middle infield. Scoreless through an inning and a half. Talking last night in the clubhouse after the game, he said if there was a game ball like in football, I'd give it to Matt Maloney. He really saved our bullpen. Dusty, courtesy of the Cincinnati Enquirer, talking about the great job that Matt Maloney did last night in relief of Arroyo. 4 innings, no runs, 4 hits, no walks, 4 strikeouts. Going into a stretch of 14 straight days, the last thing he wanted to do was burn out that bullpen on day 1. Maloney helped him not have to do that. Johnny Gomes leads off here in the bottom of the 2nd. 5-game hitting streak snapped last night. Gomes went 0 for 4. Gomes is one of just a few players on this Reds team that has actually faced McDonald before. He had 1 at bat against him. McDonald had an opportunity in the big leagues a couple of years ago out of the Dodger pen. Hard to left. 1-0 Reds. Of the year for Johnny Gomes, and the Reds break in front in this game 1-0.
Well, let's take a look at the last 2 pitches. This is a changeup that misses down and away. Now Johnny Gomes is thinking, all right, he's got to throw me a fastball right here, and he guesses right in the wheelhouse. McDonald sees it go, a laser beam of a line drive out of here, and that puts the Reds up. That's just good thinking along with the pitcher by Johnny Gomes. And a mistake pitch. You see where Domet was set up down and away. The ball catches the middle of the plate. In the big leagues, you're either backing up a base or you're getting a brand new baseball when you throw a pitch right there.
Gomes doesn't miss that one very often, does he? Here's Bruce, who homered last night. The only Reds run. He gets a very good off-speed pitch there. Doesn't get it.
Yeah, you know, this is one thing that pitchers have to do. A young pitcher like James McDonald still kind of feeling his way in, even though he has been in the big leagues on and off for, 2 or 3 years now. But if you don't get in there with your off-speed pitches, you've got to stay stubborn with it and keep working them until they finally come around. You just can't miss with your changeup a couple of times in the 1st and 2nd inning and stick it in your pocket, not use it the rest of the day, because these hitters will just feed right off you.
Johnny getting a good stretch in after that home run ball. He leads this Reds club now with 4 homers and 11 runs batted in. Reds are right among the National League leaders in home runs. They came in with 14 yesterday. They've gotten 2 now in this series. The guy that can hit it out. He's still looking for his first big league home run that's not a pinch hit home run. He hit one in 09 as a pinch hitter. Hit one last year as a pinch hitter.
Well, I think the more playing time that Juan Francisco gets, the more he's going to relax and the better hitter he will be. He posts great numbers in the minor leagues and in winter ball when he's playing every day. It's still a tough thing for a young player to play sporadically.
This is his 3rd start of the season this year. He's way out in front of that one, rolled over on it, and Overbay makes the play for the 2nd out. Here's Ramon Hernandez. Talked about getting the offense going. Certainly the Reds would like to get Ramon going again after that 4-hit day on opening day in which he sent the place into delirium with that 3-run homer in the bottom of the 9th to win it. Not done much offensively since then. He's 1 out of his last 16 as he stands in there now with a run home on the Gomes home run and 2 men out. There's a base hit for Hernandez. Popped off the bag. He's going to get a pair out of this. He hustles in the second with a 2-base hit. So an opportunity for more for the Reds as Hernandez comes up with his second double.
Well, again, trying to go down in a way that McDonald misses the spot, and it comes on the inner part of the plate. And Ramon hits the ball sharply right off the third base bag and pops up into the air down the left field line on an easy double. So the Reds now with a 2-out chance to score another run. This is a situation now with Paul Janisch up. You got a base open. You got the pitcher coming up next. And, you know, this is not an easy situation because likely McDonald's not going to just fire him down the middle just to get Janisch out. You're caught between two philosophies here as a pitcher. One is to don't give up a base hit to the number 8 hitter with a pitcher on deck and a base open. Number 2 is retire the 8 hitter because you want the pitcher leading off the inning next. So you have to balance those two philosophies in this situation. And it really depends how the count goes. Right now it looks like Janisch is down in the count. 1 strike against no balls.
Listen, while certainly Janisch is a better hitter than Leake, does it play into it at all that Leake swings the bat pretty well?
Oh, yeah, I think it does. I mean, Mike Leake swings the bat very well. In college, he played a little first base and around a little bit, and he hit some there. And James McDonald appreciates that. I mean, after all, McDonald, when he signed with the Dodgers, was originally a pitcher. Then he just told the Dodgers he wanted to be an outfielder. So the first couple of years in their minor league system, he played in the outfield. After he hit about 230, they said, we're going to put you back on the mound. So he's got respect for the guy in the on-deck circle, too, no doubt.
Reds fans may say, we had a guy that played here, McDonald, a couple of years ago. Indeed, Darnell McDonald is the cousin, first cousin of James McDonald. Darnell played here in 2009, now with the Boston Red Sox.
Well, you know, and not only that, I mean, he comes from a very athletic family. Darnell, obviously, a very good athlete, a speedy outfielder. I really liked Darnell when he was here with the Reds. But James McDonald's father, James, played tight end for the Los Angeles Rams in the National Football League back in the day.
James is here big at 6'4", 200. Dad playing tight end a little bit bigger, I would guess.
Well, you know, back in the day, 6'4", 200 for a tight end was pretty big.
Yeah. When did he play? Back in the 80s, 90s?
Well, it has to be back
20-some years ago-ish.
I have to look it up, but I would say probably back in the 70s or the 80s. Back when there was a team in L.A., let me put it that way.
Yeah, that's a good measuring stick right there. Janisch has driven in 3 this year. Number 4 perched out at second base. Joel Luckup tells us 83 through 87.
Okay.
Thank you, Joel. May have been in the John Hayden days. John Hadel. Is it Hadel? Number 21. Remember the old quarterback?
Yeah, I do remember. It was a Pat Hayden, but
Pat Hayden and a John Hadel, right?
I think it was John Hadel, yeah.
Slice to right, and getting over there is Garrett Jones, and that retires the side. But a home run by Johnny Gomes has given the Reds the lead, 1-0 over the Pirates after 2. in-game chat. Plus, Xavier's 2 Holloway is texting the NBA draft waters. Find out what he has to say about his decision. It's only on FoxSportsOhio.com, presented by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO and SafeAuto.com. 1-0 Reds. We head to the third. Mike Leake has just about made his way through their lineup. We'll deal with his counterpart, James McDonald. He's just the opposite of the Reds' Travis Wood. Wood throws left, bats right. McDonald throws right, bats left.
And both of those pitchers, since they exposed their pitching arm to the front side of the opposing pitcher, wears a little protective armor right on his elbow right there, just to make sure if he does get hit, he doesn't have a career-ending injury.
He does have a hit this year. He's 1 out of 4.
Originally drafted by the Dodgers in 2002. In the 11th round out of a junior college in California. Went to the Dodgers minor leagues and tried to be a hitter, as I said, and did not work out there, and then eventually became a pitcher and was their pitcher of the year, the Dodgers minor league pitcher of the year in 2007. And of course he had 45 games in the big leagues in 2009, so he's no rookie out there. But he's a guy that is just now kind of beginning to get it as far as putting it all together.
McDonald strikes out, so that is number 2 for Mike Leake. It's a new season for your lawn. Visit your local Lowe's for savings and a free MLB fan guide, compliment of Scott's. So Leake will work his way a second time through the Pirate order. Here's Andrew McCutchen. Singles started this game into center. Last night we talked about the intensity of the wind and those flags out in left center field. Blowing out right now, not nearly in terms of MPH like it was last night. They've been shifting, blowing out toward left center, on occasion blowing across the outfield from center toward left. Gomes' ball probably got a little boost from that wind.
I'm not sure it even needed any boost. That was pretty much of a line drive, but I can tell you this, anything that you get up in that jet stream in left center field is really going to fly right towards the Reds bullpen.
That went in on the fist of McCutchen, and Bruce will handle it for the second out.
Or a nice moving changeup right there by Mike Leake. Really changing speeds effectively, and that's got to be his game. His changeup down around 82. He's thrown his fastball as high as 91, and you know, even though he misses his spot a little bit right here, the ball comes up and in. He still has McCutchen out in front and stays away from the sweet spot.
Chris, you talked about no big deal earlier with Leake making the start in terms of rest. What about in terms of being told late that he's going to get this start today as opposed to tomorrow?
I think if anything, it probably helps you. I mean, you know, after you're coming off of a bad outing, and Mike Leake disappointed by giving up 6 runs his last time out, you know, you can't wait to get back on the mound again. So the sooner the better. And for him, you know, I'm sure he's waiting and kind of biding his time until his next start comes around. Has to be one day more because of the off day. And then they tell him at the last minute, by the way, you're pitching tomorrow. So it's almost too late to get nervous. You just go ahead and go get him.
And we'll, of course, hope for good things from Edinson Volquez tomorrow. A little stiff neck. Dusty said he thought he slept wrong. Got to get him going tomorrow.
You know, Jim, I played with players along the way that they're pitchers that were so nervous about their upcoming start that they really couldn't be starting pitchers. They were best when they were told, you know, an hour before the game, by the way, you're pitching today, because they couldn't get all worked up mentally. And then they ended up being good bullpen pitchers and relievers because, you know, you get called on immediately and you have no time to get nervous. And a lot of it is the mental preparation and controlling your emotions. And Mike Leake, for a young man, is way ahead of what a lot of people are at his age.
Yeah, just in observing him, he never appears to be flustered at all. Did he go? He sure did, says Darryl Cousins, the first base umpire. And a 1-2-3 third turned in by Mike Leake, protecting a 1-0 lead. Before every game with the Emmy Award-winning Reds Live here on Fox Sports Ohio. Jim Day, Jeff Porcaro get you all prepared for the game that follows with in-depth analysis and special guests. That's Reds Live, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. 1-0 Reds, bottom of the third. Mike Leake leads it off. Alvarez, nice pick on the short hop, and one pitch gives us one out in the bottom of inning 3. Leake threw 3 on the mound, no runs, 2 hits, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. New from 20th Century Fox, Rio, a movie that will bring the world to its feet, in theaters now. Here's Stubbs, a strikeout victim his first time, in fact the only K on the board for James McDonald. Eludes Garrett Jones and will go to the wall, and the fleet-footed Stubbs will end up at second with a 2-base hit for Stubbs, double number 2.
Boy, he hits the ball hard, doesn't he? He'll hit some of the longest home runs of anybody on this ball club. He just risked this ball, and it goes over the head of the right fielder, Garrett Jones, on a line drive. I mean, that's the thing that really makes scouts just salivate when they see Drew Stubbs play. That and his tremendous speed. He's got power. Those fast twitch muscles working as we give you a good shot of that line drive with our Foxmo camera. Brought to you by Performance Honda. Pretty good performance on that swing by Stubbs.
Cairo would try to get the runner home. He won't do it with that ground ball as Cedeno throws him out for out number 2.
Man, a disappointing at bat right there from Miguel. You know, he was completely fooled by that off-speed pitch. He knows as well as anybody in this ballpark that his job is to try to at least hit it to the right side. But I mean, he's fooled badly on a changeup right there. Maybe it was a breaking ball, but he's got to figure that was one of those giveaway at bats.
So the opportunity to produce another run in this inning falls on the shoulders of Joey Votto. Flied out his first time. He went 0 for 2 last night, but was on base twice with a walk, and he was robbed on that sensational play by the shortstop Cedeno to end the 8th inning. He made an incredible over-the-shoulder catch with the wind swirling. Something to behold. Votto 0 for 3 lifetime against McDonald. There's that play that Cedeno made back to the infield and almost eluded him off to the left. At the last moment, he reached out and made a heck of a play. Leave it to Joey Votto. He comes up with a big hit. Stubbs racing home, and he gets in and hustling down to second. Votto, he's in there. Good play on both sides. Stubbs scores. Votto gets his 8th RBI.
Well, it looked like James McDonald tried to double up on the changeup. He threw a real good one the last time, and he went right back with it again, but he elevated this one, and he gave Joey Votto a chance to take a look at it and adjust, and he's just way too good of a hitter to do that too. The throw will come all the way into the plate. That's another mistake. You've got to know who's running, because there's no way you're going to get through Stubbs. And by that throw going to the plate, Votto with heads up base running, heads on into second base, so he's in scoring position.
Nicely done by all involved. Stubbs scores the run. 2-0 in favor of the Reds. Joey has now reached base in all 14 games this year, and with that base hit, he's now reached base in 31 consecutive starts. And remember, last year he had that stretch where he reached base in 41 consecutive games, and it only came to an end in Chicago when he was ejected early in that game at Wrigley.
Yep.
Then he went on to reach base in 10 more games in a row after that. If I'm not mistaken, he was among the league leaders in on-base percentage 1 year ago. Gomes got the scoring started in this game with that second inning home run. Yeah, Votto led the National League with a .424 on-base percentage last season. Worthy of MVP number.
Well, he's locked in right now, too. The guy's had a perfect spring. He came into spring training, timing a little bit off. As you got deeper and deeper into the spring, Votto got better and better. When the gun rang for the opening of the season, I mean, the guy's locked in, and he stayed that way.
Draws the free pass, first issued by McDonald. Johnny on for the second time.
I think what a lot of people don't appreciate is the preparation that a lot of these players put in, and nobody prepares more than Joey Votto. I mean, every time after batting practice is over that I walk through the clubhouse and take a peek into the video room, they've got a room down there dedicated to just video of whatever a player wants to see. Pitchers against him, his own at-bats, maybe in the field, whatever it is, and they can call it up off the computer and check out everything. But every time I look in there, there's Joey Votto studying himself, studying the opposing pitcher. I'm sure he has a pretty good gauge of what James McDonald has, even though he hasn't had much experience against him. I mean, he takes nothing for granted. The guy just comes to the ballpark to make it work.
Pirates have a quick meeting on the mound. Ray Searage, their pitching coach, out there talking with a battery of McDonald and his catcher Ryan Doman. Here's Bruce. 0 for 1 with a fly out to right in this game. He had been 1 out of his last 13 when he came up there last night. Hit that home run in the bottom of the 9th inning. His first of the year. Driven in 4.
You know, you just hope that home run last night may help Jay Bruce slow things down a little bit. You know, when he gets into a little bit of a slump, but he's like most young players, a streaky player. When he gets into the bad part of a slump, I mean, he really tends to be kind of a nervous Jervis up there, moving around a little bit. You want him to try to slow the game down a little bit, let it come to him. He made an easy out on the first pitch he saw his last at bat, and now he's worked the count to 3-0.
Well, you're right. He does have a lot of nervous little ticks as he goes up there each and every pitch. You take a look at him here. There he bends that back a little bit. Tug at his shirt. Now stretch the left arm.
Back-to-back fastballs after a 3-0 count. You wonder if McDonald will challenge him one more time.
Runners will be on the move here. And they'll all reset. Votto back to second. Gomes to first. And another 3-2 pitch will present itself for Jay Bruce. Gotten off to a tough start this year in terms of strikeouts. He's fanned 15 times this season. Trying to just get that ball in play a little bit more.
Well, you know, sometimes, you know, guys are trying to play for a new contract and other guys are trying to go out and prove that they're worth the contract they got. And you don't want Jay Bruce to try too hard. You know, he signed a long-term extension for more than $50 million. So he's a young man with a lot of money guaranteed coming his way. And I think with that comes some responsibility. And he knows that the ball club has got a lot of faith in him, and they know that he's going to be a good player. But he doesn't have to earn all that money here in the first month of the season. Just go ahead and play your game.
The contract will take him through when he's 29 years old. He's battling against McDonald, Votto, and Gomes getting a little cardio work in.
Yeah, he's yet to catch up with the fastball either. And for the last 4 pitches in a row, they've all 5 pitches, I think now, have all been fastballs. So he's getting a pretty good look at what James McDonald is offering up there and the speed of his pitches and how they're coming out of his hand.
You'll see the 9th pitch in this AB here from McDonald. McCutchen will handle it, and the inning is over. But the Reds get a run. Big hit by Stubbs. Big hit by Joey Votto. And it's 2-0 Reds after 3.
Proudly serving America's restaurants, schools, retailers, and our military around the world. JTM Food Group, by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers, where you can register to win the Tundra at Great American Ballpark. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by John Deere. Visit your local Cincinnati John Deere dealer this deer season.
Lyle Overbay set to start the 4th inning for the Pirates. Nothing out of 1 in this game. Overbay had those 2 hits last night, scored a couple of runs, 2 for 5 in the series. Single runs in the second and third for the Reds. They lead this one 2-0. Nice location there by Leake, and Overbay did not have a good swing at all.
Yeah, Leake is really changing speeds nicely, and as we see so often and saw last year so much early in the year, where the hitters just seem like they don't pick the ball up out of Mike Leake's hand. It's a bad swing by a veteran hitter.
Is that because, Chris, of the place where he has the ball located when he delivers it?
Well, I mean, he's got kind of an unusual arm angle. He works very low with his arm angle, but he keeps his fingers on top of the ball, thereby keeping it, making it able to move the ball down. But he's been all over the corners today, and that really helps. But he's throwing strikes with his fastball and his curve. Here's his motion. You're going to see his arm angle from somewhere down here when it comes out, and you know it's lower than a lot of guys is, and the ball just gets on you a lot quicker than it appears. So for Mike Leake, it's about deception as much as it is anything else.
There you see him going back to that hat with a rosin on it. And he gets the strikeout of Overbay, so he's now set down 5 in a row with his 4th strikeout.
Now let's change up. The strikeout pitch is to Lyle Overbay, 84 miles an hour, and Overbay reads it as a fastball, and you see he swings right over the top of it. There's the grip of it when you've got the little circle change working right there. And I mean, to have a pitcher at the age of Mike Leake with as much confidence as he has in all his secondary pitches, his changeup and his breaking ball, his cutter, all those pitches he uses equally. And you rarely see a pitcher, 30 years old who could do that consistently. Here's this young guy right out of college.
He's now struck out 4 in each of his first 3 starts. He has 4 early in this game. He's fanned Tabata twice. He got Overbay to start this inning. He fanned James McDonald. So 4 strikeouts already for Mike Leake. Dealing with Neil Walker, who walked his first time. Better from this side of the plate by over 100 points. Certainly he'll see more right-handed pitching. He's at 283 at the start of the day batting left. Only 167 batting right. Walker batting in the cleanup spot for the 2nd game in a row and for the 2nd time in his career. Walk number 2 issued by Leake. And Walker is aboard. Batter will be Pedro Alvarez. Time for us to take a look at our AT&T trivia question of the day. Who are the only 2 active players to play on the last Pirates winning team back in 1992? That's going back a few years now. 19 seasons ago when they actually lost to Atlanta. First round of the playoffs that year. Whoever they are, that's a nice long big league career right there. Reds have turned 1 double play. Look for another one here off the bat of Alvarez.
Well, he is staying right downstairs, though. He's made very few mistakes around the waist, Leake has. And when he misses, I mean, he's just missing by an inch or so right down at the bottom of the strike zone, right where you want to be, especially in a situation where you'd love to get a ground ball and maybe get out of the inning. 2-1 count. Interesting here if Clint Hurdle maybe will put a hit and run on. I mean, the way the runner, Neil Walker, dove back into the bag, you just wonder if maybe something was on. Not going.
Alvarez now ahead of the count, 3-1. Back-to-back walks issued by Leake. He walked Walker, and now Alvarez joins Neil on the bases.
Well, this is a very tough part of the order for a right-handed pitcher to go through, because with Neil Walker as a switch hitter, you got Overbay, Walker, Alvarez, Domet, and Garrett Jones, all left-handers, and they're going to get a pretty good look at you. So Brian Price is going to go out there. He may have seen something physically, what Mike Leake was doing out of his delivery from the stretch, that he was not out of the full windup, but he wants to make sure that this inning doesn't get away from him right here.
Well, you talked earlier about once they see him once, sometimes twice, then they get a better read on him.
Well, you know, that happens for every pitcher, but statistics will oftentimes tell you how much they make an adjustment. And for Mike Leake, the batting averages go up significantly when the hitters see him for the third time through the order. Now, these guys are only still seeing him for the second time today. But with the way he throws the ball and keeps it down, he's a ground ball from getting out of this inning.
Ryan Domet did ground out his first time. And as they did the first time, they shift him on the infield. In fact, Paul Janisch is almost right behind second base.
Well, they know that he's a pull hitter, and that's where his power is. And they also know that Mike Leake is going to pitch him inside. Missed down and in with the slider, his first pitch.
Outfield plays straight away for him. Francisco is off the bag at third, and again Janisch almost positioned right behind second base. When nobody was on base, he was actually on the first base side of second.
Great combination of pitches right there. An 88-mile-an-hour fastball, previous pitch, right around the knees. Domet took it for a strike. The same pitch looks like it's coming on the last offering, except there was a changeup. Took 6 miles an hour off. The ball dipped right underneath the bat of Domet. Leake in command now.
Against Leake, Overbay struck out to start the inning, and then the back-to-back walks. Neil Walker first, Pedro Alvarez second. Domet up there now. Brain trust of the Reds in there. That dugout, Dusty Baker, Brian Price observing the pitches of one Mike Leake, who's sitting at 67 offerings heading into this pitch.
Well, sometimes the pitcher calls the catcher out. Other times the catcher goes out there to dispense some information. Looks like right there that Ramon Hernandez has a gut feeling or sees something that Domet is doing right here, and has made an offering, or at least a suggestion to Leake on this particular count.
It has been Hernandez that has caught Leake in each of his 3 starts this year. Base hit. Now, will they test the arm of Gomes? They will not. Johnny came up cleanly with that ball and gets it back in. Domet took a pitch over the outer part of the plate, hit it where it was pitched, and the Pirates have them loaded.
Well, it looks like that Ramon Hernandez wanted this ball in. See him moving on the inside part of the plate, and then that ball just kind of runs right to the outer half, and Domet with a 2-strike swing takes it very nicely in the left field. I think the Reds catch a break right here, because I'm not so sure that throw would have thrown out the runner. They didn't want to make it out at the plate, but now Mike Leake has to stay positive, thinking, all right, I get a ground ball right here, and I'm out of the inning.
Garrett Jones had a base hit his first time, and he gets ahead of the count here. He's had back-to-back 21 home run seasons for the Pirates, his first 2 full years in the big leagues, having come up through the Twins organization. Last year, 86 runs batted in. Mike digging himself a hole here. He's at 2-0 with the bases loaded, 1 out. Trying to protect this 2-0 Reds lead in the 4th.
What a find for the Pittsburgh Pirates and Garrett Jones. They signed him to a minor league contract back in December of 2008. So he was a minor league free agent. Twins didn't need him anymore. Eventually got called up in June of 2009, and he's been in the big leagues ever since.
Well, it was the 5th inning in his last start out at Arizona where Mike really had the issues. Never did make it through that inning. His first real troubles of this game have come an inning earlier here in the 4th.
This reminds you a little bit of that inning, does it not? I mean, all of a sudden, he doesn't seem to have a good feel of the strike zone.
Had a chance to get through that 5th inning out in Arizona with only 2 runs being allowed. But that 3-run homer by Ryan Roberts did him in. And at 3-1, he loses Garrett Jones, his 3rd walk of the inning. And the Pirates are on the board with a bases loaded walk. Reds have action in the bullpen. Right-hander Jordan Smith, who's been very good this year, up and loosening. So 4 walks now in the game, 3 in this inning for Leake.
You know, it's not like Mike Leake has got a flaw in his delivery. It doesn't look like he's throwing the ball poorly. He's still changing speeds, using all of his pitches, but it's almost like he became a little gun shy after the walk or the 1-out walk to Neil Walker, and then really tried to pick at the corners instead of being aggressive the way he was the first 3 innings of this ballgame. I mean, he's at his best when he attacks hitters, and you can't be afraid of contact.
He has worked behind in this inning, and it's really cost him. He's already thrown 30 pitches in this inning and sits at 75 now with only 1 man out.
That's why I mentioned, Jim, after watching the game during his last start against the Arizona Diamondbacks, I thought that it was more of a mental letdown in that 5th inning when he began to have control problems. I think the same thing is right here.
Cedeno is the 8th hitter in their lineup. Gomes will catch this ball, and Alvarez will tag. The game is tied as Alvarez slides in ahead of the throw. So a sacrifice fly by Cedeno gets him his 3rd run batted in, and Pittsburgh has knotted things here in the 4th.
Well, the throw going all the way to the plate does one other thing. It allows both runners to advance to 2nd and 3rd right now. So a timely base hit for James McDonald will drive a couple more runs in.
Ramon Hernandez,
he wants to field third base. Yeah.
Jim Wolf, the home plate umpire, signaled no. You'd say, well, why wouldn't the third base umpire be making that call? He would have been watching the play out in left field. So now with runners at 2nd and 3rd and 2 out and 2 in, James McDonald faces his counterpart Mike Leake. Leake due up 4th in the 4th inning. He threw 87 pitches in his last start at Arizona, 94 in that very good effort on April 5th here against Houston, and he's at 79 and now 80 now as that one fouled away by McDonald. Leads you to wonder, will he be around to pitch a 5th inning?
He doesn't look like he's fatigued. I think if anything else, he's probably ticked off at himself for not going after the hitters more this inning.
Pitch away from putting this half inning to an end.
Now, he struck out McDonald his last time up on a changeup. He threw him a first pitch changeup in this at bat. That last pitch a fastball. Here probably comes changeup right here, hoping McDonald will swing right over it. Hernandez wants a slider.
He does get him on strikes. 2 of them in the inning, 5 in the game, but 2 cross the plate, and we are even through 3.5.
To the Cincinnati Reds.
2-2 game in the bottom of the 4th, and there's Mike Leake talking with Brian Price after that last half inning.
You know, I think what Brian Price is so good at is communicating with the pitchers. And you say something different in a different way to each one of these guys because they all have their own personality. Leake takes instruction very well. He knows that Brian Price is going to tell him exactly what he needs to hear, which is go right after the hitters and continue to trust your stuff. I mean, he's not getting beat all over the ballpark when he throws strikes, so why not throw more strikes? Take the game to the Pirates instead of trying to nibble at the corners.
It certainly appeared there if he was agreeing with what Brian was saying, didn't it?
Well, you know, you do. Even if you don't agree, you're going to nod yes, like what you do when your boss tells you something, right? Or your wife tells you something.
There you go.
Okay.
I guess one and the same, though, isn't it?
Oftentimes, you're right. Well, Francisco had a fastball to turn on right there and fouled it back. That's the kind of pitch that a hitter loved to get back. Knowing that's coming up right now is probably something other than a fastball down Broadway.
Francisco fooled on an off-speed pitch his first time. Bounced out to the first baseman, Overbay. Beats this one into the ground to third. Bare hand pick and got him at first.
What a play. I'll tell you what, a lot of scouts will say Pedro Alvarez will hit enough to play third base, but if he makes more plays like this, they're going to say he's as good a defensive third baseman as is from on the offensive side. That's a great barehanded play. You notice how when he picked that ball up, his weight was on his left leg. When he threw it, it was on his right leg. And that's the way infielders make that slow roller play, and you couldn't do it any better than that.
Only chance he had was the barehand pick, and he made it perfectly. And the leadoff man out here in the bottom of the fourth is Ramon Hernandez. Reds single runs in the second and third. Pirates have answered with 2 in the top of the fourth. They won the first game of this series here last night 6-1.
That ball hit a ton, but a ton foul. Time to make a little shout out to some big time Reds fans down in Charlotte, North Carolina. Regina and Tiffany Martin, welcome to our broadcast, and go Reds.
Making a bid to float one out to right. Hernandez still alive. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, he does that about as well as anybody in the league. I mean, stays alive, battles the hitter or battles the pitcher, flares him into right field. Last time he hit a ground ball down the third base line and hit the bag. Where does the ball hit on contact with the bat? Way out on the end.
On a cold day like today, he's got some bees in his hands right now. Waited on that breaking ball and hammers it into left for another hit.
Well, what made that hit available to Ramon Hernandez is him fouling off that last pitch. And finally gets a hanging breaking ball right there, and he lays out a line drive.
So that's the go-ahead run on with 1 out here in the bottom of the fourth. Reds are trying to do to this Pirates club what they did to them twofold last year. Remember how well the Reds played against their own division, of which the Pirates, of course, are in the NL Central, and against teams that were under 500. There's a dandy. No chance for Alvarez that time. Beautiful bunt by Giannis. Crowd appreciates the effort of the Red shortstop.
Well, you always want to know where the infielders are. Watch Paul Giannis look down the third baseline right here. There he is. There's a little quick look. He says, all right, he's playing deep enough on me right here. I'm going to lay one down the line. And as it turns out, it's a perfect bunt by Paul Giannis. A base hit all the way. Alvarez sees him square, but there's no way he's going to get there in time. In fact, he doesn't even make a throw. So now a chance for Mike Leake to help his own cause.
Sometimes when you're struggling a bit at the plate, you use the bunt too to kind of get yourself going. Giannis has been over his last 13.
This is nice thick grass, especially this time of year where the grass is growing as we know it very fast, and it's nice and thick in the infield. It'll swallow that ball up if you can get it down.
So after the leadoff ground out, 2 consecutive reached. Leake showing bunt to move him along.
You know, with the way that Mike Leake handles the bat, this would be an opportunity for the Reds to put on the old Butcher Boy play, where you fake a bunt, you pull the bat back, and then you slash the ball. You've got Lyle Overbay charging very hard from first base. He's a left-handed thrower and got a decent arm. He can make an easy play at third base if you bunt it down the first baseline at him. Here he comes again.
That's where it's supposed to go, toward third. He may beat this out. Oh, he's out at first base. That was awfully close. Leake thought he had beaten it out. Crowd thought he had beaten it out.
Man, oh man, you can't hardly lay down a better bunt than this. Everybody in the ballpark knows he's bunting. Here comes the pitcher, McDonald. And if not for McDonald's strong arm, Leake has a base hit.
There almost appeared, didn't there, to be a little bit of confusion as to who was going to field that ball. Sacrifice is credited to Leake. Big RBI chance here now for Stubbs. Double as last time. Boy, he was totally fooled on that.
Either he was fooled or it's a setup. Well, you know you've got a good curveball when a hitter reacts to that.
Caught on the charge by Tabata out in left field. The Reds threaten but fail, and we are even at 2 through 4. Right center field. Terry Sharp of Cincinnati will win this beautiful new Tundra on display here at GABP. Register for your chance to win in an upcoming game by seeing your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. 2-2 game through 4. Reds have out hit the Pirates 6-3 and have left on 5. The Pirates 4. Big chance goes by the wayside there in the bottom of the 4th inning. Mike Leake, 82 pitchers through 4, back to the mound. Andrew McCutchen, who led off most of the time last year for Pittsburgh, but did not lead off in their first 12 games in the leadoff spot for the 2nd game in a row for Clint Hurdle's club in this series. Carves him up on 3 pitches to get his 6th strikeout. The leadoff man here in inning number 5. Let us revisit our AT&T trivia question here in the top of the 5th. We're the only 2 active players to play on the last Pirates winning team way back in 1992. The knuckleballer Tim Wakefield and Miguel Batista of St. Louis.
How about that? They have both obviously had long, very good careers.
Wakefield was another converted everyday player. Didn't hit very much. Tried pitching. Wasn't a very good pitcher. Tried the knuckleball. Things really worked out from there.
Boy, it sure has.
Giannis.
Well, whatever Brian Price said to Mike Leake in the between innings has certainly paid off. And I think it's really just coming right after the hitters. That's what Leake has done so far this inning. Sometimes you're a coach. Sometimes you decipher mechanics and try to figure out what a guy physically is doing wrong. Sometimes you're a big brother. Sometimes you're a psychiatrist. You wear a lot of different hats as a pitching coach.
Well, he is highly, highly thought of.
He should be.
Within the Reds organization. They were very fortunate to get him after he left Arizona a year and a half ago. On the market, Reds snapped him up and have been better for it. leaking out away now from his second 1-2-3 inning of this game. Cheating up the middle, Giannis. Does he have a chance? Yes, and he gets it. Nicely done by Paul Giannis. And a 1-2-3 fifth turned in by Mike Leake. Reds in the bottom half will try to snap a 2-2 tie. Reds try to jump back in front in this game. Led 2-0. Now tied 2-2. Bottom of the fifth. Miguel Cairo. It's James McDonald. Votto and Gomes to follow. Cairo in his first start of the year last night went 1 for 4. 0 for 2 in this game. Everything goes according to plan. Dusty Baker figures that Brandon Phillips will be back in there tomorrow. Still could be a little cool tomorrow, but the sun is supposed to be shining most of the day. Should make it a very nice Sunday afternoon game here. The third game of this series. Edinson Volquez pushed back a day from today. Will go for the Reds against Jeff Karstens. We were talking about Cairo, Chris's last time up. I remember the story after the 2009 season. He went to Walt Jocketty, called him and said, look, I don't like the way the 2009 season ended. I want my career to end that way. Give me a shot. Oh, it's worked out very well. That ball bobbled down there by Alvarez will give the Reds a base runner to start the bottom of the fifth inning. Take a look at how that last half inning ended with our John Morrell hot dog play of the game with Paul Giannis coming up with a sparkler here.
Well, Giannis is shading towards second base, but he still comes a long way. And after he grabs the ball and uprights himself, he just guns it to first base. You talk about a rocket of an arm for a shortstop. Paul Giannis, you know, remember when they put him on the mound a couple of years ago to pitch? He had 94 on the radar gun. Kid has just a terrific arm and a great defender.
Joey's going to find the gap out in right center. Down for a hit. And look at Cairo turning the corner and hustling over to third.
Boy, is Joey Votto locked in or what? I mean, he makes it look so easy. That's not a bad pitch at all by James McDonald. Down and away, down around the knees, and Votto just lays a rope into right center field. An easy first to third for Miguel Cairo. I mean, look at his head. His eyes are on it. That's a great line there. He's got a stiff front side. I'll tell you, just the way they write about it in the textbook.
He will go through his slumps. We know that at some point, but he's about as automatic as they get right now.
You know, slumps for different people are defined different ways. One guy goes into a slump and lasts a month. Joey Votto goes into a slump and lasts a day and a half.
So great opportunity now here in the bottom of the 5th to regain the lead.
You know, one thing I missed saying when Miguel Cairo hit that easy ground ball to third baseman and Alvarez booted it. It looked like it came up to Alvarez perfectly. Going to be a nice, easy play. A lot of guys who are running will let up a little bit, thinking I'm going to be out at first base. Cairo didn't. He ran hard right through the bag, and when Alvarez did recover and throw, Miguel Cairo was already through the bag to make him safe. Good point. So he's kept this inning, you know, obviously with nobody out, just by hustling from home to first, and then he hustled very well from first to third.
Pirates were charged with 1 error last night. Another error here today. First and third, nobody out. Gomes, who's delivered a run with his home run in the 2nd, looks to bring in at least 1 more with something here in the 5th. Votto off. He'll get it easily. That takes away the potential double play for the Pirates and puts 2 in scoring position. Third for Votto.
You know, the Reds have distributed, I think they got 14 or 15 stolen bases now, and they've distributed them throughout their lineup very evenly. I think Drew Stubbs has 3 or 4, but everybody, you know, others have 2 here or there. You know, Votto's got 2 or 3 right now. This is a very athletic team overall. The first thing that strikes you when you see the Reds is how their team speed and their team athleticism, you know, goes throughout the entire roster.
They're in the upper third of the league in steals. That is their 15th. It could mean a pair, and Gomes chased that one and strikes out, and he's upset with himself there.
Well, 2 back-to-back real good curveballs for James McDonald. He needed them, he threw them, and he throws this one right on the black.
So now an opportunity for Bruce. Well, they're going to walk Bruce intentionally and bring up Juan Francisco. Bruce has flied out twice in this game. And this will give the Reds an opportunity, something they have not been able to do this year, and that is come up with a hit with the bases loaded. They're 0 for 14 this year with the bases loaded. Second walk by McDonald. Bruce joins Votto and Cairo on the bags. Juan Francisco, man on the spot now. He's grounded out twice. He's 0 for 2. Francisco on the year now 2 out of 16. You hear a lot of talk about Juan struggling in this role in which he doesn't play every day, and you alluded to it earlier, Chris.
Well, he's a big swinger. He's got a big, powerful swing, but in this situation, he needs to shrink the strike zone a little bit. He needs to understand that the pressure now is on James McDonald, the pitcher, not on Juan Francisco, the hitter. So if you get a first pitch and you don't like it even one little bit, you just lay off of it. You'll eventually get at least 1 pitch in this at bat that he should be able to handle. And don't think about hitting a home run. Think about laying out a line drive somewhere.
And chase that pitch.
Yeah, that's not his pitch right there. A first pitch curveball down the dirt, good location. I'm not even sure if it's a strike. We'll be able to take a better look at it this way. I mean, that's a pitch you don't hack out until you get 2 strikes. I mean, he's a dead red fastball hitter. He's going to get one eventually in this at bat, or at least would have had he laid off of that one.
That's a pitch that sometimes we see him chase, but he laid off that.
Well, you know, I think the key is not try to hit every pitch up there. So many young hitters try to get good at hitting that low slider down and away or the up and in fastball. The really good hitters hit the pitches that are down the middle. They don't miss them and they don't foul them back.
Well, McDonald wanted that pitch, so did Goma, didn't get it. Now a big time advantage for the Reds third baseman. Then Hurdle on the phone to the bullpen. McDonald at 86 pitches now. Big time hit for Juan Francisco. One will score. Reds have regained the lead. You are exactly right. There was going to be a pitch in that at bat that he could handle, and that was it.
Well, by laying off a couple of those teaser breaking balls, he set up a situation where James McDonald needed a strike. And he tried to go upstairs with a fastball and put a nice level swing on it. In fact, he hit the ball almost too hard because he hit it so quickly or so hard on one hop out to the right fielder that Garrett Jones got it back in before the Reds could score more than one.
The error cost the Pirates. That's an unearned run. Francisco gets just his second RBI. Reds are back in front 3-2, and there's Ray Searage back to the mound to talk to his battery. He took over late in the season last year for Joe Kerrigan, who was relieved of his pitching coach duties with this club and then kept on when the Pirates changed managers. John Russell let go, then Hurdle brought in.
Ray Searage was the bullpen coach when he was named the interim pitching coach and then got that position full time. Guy that played for a number of different ball teams while he was playing. Played with the Mets, the Milwaukee Brewers, the White Sox, a little bit with the Los Angeles Dodgers in about 1989 and 1990.
Action in both bullpens. Michael Crota is throwing in the Pirate pen. Bill Bray, the lefty, in the Reds pen. Chance to do some more damage here with Hernandez up there. He already has a pair of hits. Bowman runs out of room, strike one. Hit by Juan Francisco, the first by the Reds this year. The bases loaded, trying to come up with another. That one will do. Wow.
The kind of crooked number they were looking for here at Great American Ballpark. Somewhat of a frigid day here in April. Fans are sitting back hoping something would happen, and man, oh man, they got excited by that bomb by Ramon Hernandez. Come on, Ramon, they're calling you back out there.
Is Ramon going to jump back out there?
Oh yeah. Give them what they need. All right.
Sixth career grand slam for Ramon Hernandez. The Pirates will make a pitching change. Time for our skyline call to the bullpen here in the middle of the fifth. Of the 2011 season for the Reds, the 6th of his career, and a big lead now for the Reds by 5.
Well, you know, James McDonald had become very predictable. Here's he misses with a breaking ball right here, runs the count to 1-1. Ramon Hernandez thinking fastball all the way. They want it down and away. It is right down Broadway around the letters, and just like that, a second deck job to clear the bases and put the Reds up by 5.
So Mike Crotta is the new man on the mound. He'll appear for the 7th time this year with a 1.93 ERA. Crotta made his big league debut earlier this season. He's 26 years old, out of Southport, Florida. He comes on in relief of James McDonald, who was making his first start against the Reds. Just noted earlier he had appeared out of the bullpen against them. He ends up giving up 7 runs in 4 1/3. Giannis starts with the bases clear and 1 man out. Reds, he led 2-0. Saw the Pirates come back to tie it and put a 5 spot up here in the 5th. Hernandez has come up with a couple of big hits already this season, hasn't he? Wow.
Now, he came up with so many last year. I mean, it's almost like it's his calling card. Just amazing how some guys are able to get it done with runners on base when you need it the most.
5 is not the most runs the Reds have put on the board in an inning. Remember, on that last road trip out in San Diego, they put up 6 in the 11th and winning 8-2 against the Padres. A 5 spot here in this inning so far. Jones barely moves, catching that ball off the bat of Giannis. All is 1 for 3.
Hey, Reds fans, if you're in the restaurant industry, let JTM Food Group help you with great tasting products for your menu. Inspired solutions, better results. JTM.
James McDonald, 7 runs, 6 earned, 9 hits, and 4 1/3. He's out. Mike Leake, who started for the Reds, still in there. James McDonald, making his 3rd start of the year, will not get a victory today. There's a line drive hit to center by Leake. So he will apparently go back out there, having thrown 91 pitches through 5. 9th man to bat in this inning is Drew Stubbs. Stubbs bats for the 4th time. He's 1 out of 3. Stubbs scored a run back in the 3rd. One of the 7 produced by the Reds here today. Crotta, working out of the bullpen in this his first big league year, has been a starter throughout his minor league career. Made 28 starts last year in the Pirates organization, 4 at AA and then 24 at AAA Indianapolis. Stubbs shoots it hard to right, and that ball clears the wall. Not by much, but it got over. Number 3 for Stubbs.
Now the base hit by Mike Leake keeps the inning alive, and Drew Stubbs takes it the other way. We've seen a lot of his home runs so far going the other way. This ball hits right on the very top of the outfield wall. The yellow mark right there, then bounces into the stands. Man, oh man, that's some great power.
And this now does become the largest single inning produced by the Reds this year. They've put up 7.
Why stop now? You got somewhere to go?
You know me, I have nowhere to go. Cairo becomes the 10th man to bat in the inning. That one's got a sting on a raw day like today. Miguel Cairo.
I mean, that actually has got to hurt more than if you got hit by a pitched ball. Oftentimes the ball coming off the bat exceeds the velocity of the ball that's actually pitched. I mean, a pitch may come in at 90 miles an hour and may go out of the infield on a line drive at 100. So if you bang one into your instep or your front shin or your ankle, I mean, that baby's coming anywhere from between 90 and 110 miles an hour right off the bone.
It's our math lesson for the day.
Well, that and the lesson in pain. If you really want to simulate that at home, go in the garage and grab your hammer. Take about a 3/4 swing and let it rest right on your instep. I am kidding, folks. Do not do that.
Cedeno on a close play does get the runner at first, Cairo, to end a 7-run, 10-batter inning. Big time frame for the Reds, highlighted by that one by Ramon Hernandez. Congratulations to a member of our Fox Sports Ohio family, cameraman Justin Rohn. There's Justin and his wife Erin. Welcome him, the newest Reds fan, baby girl Harper, this past Tuesday. Congratulations, Justin. Congratulations, Erin. And welcome to the Reds family, Harper.
We certainly welcome her. And Justin was in the media dining room yesterday, flashing the photos around on his phone, and certainly had the look of a proud papa.
You get the cigar? Is that still something people do? Pass out cigars?
I don't know. It's been a long time since I've had a baby.
Leake working now with a 7-run lead here in the 6th inning. Came back solid in the 5th after giving up those 2 runs in the 4th, and will get the leadoff man here in the 6th. Neil Walker goes out 4-3 for out number 1. Baseball fans, check out the new Johnny Bench, baseball's greatest catcher exhibit, presented by Dinsmore and Scholl at the Reds Hall of Fame. This tribute offers never before seen artifacts from Bench's personal collection, as well as video and audio highlights. If you'd like more information, visit redsmuseum.org. Here's Pedro Alvarez. In this game, 0-for-1 with a walk. It was Walker who just grounded out, and then Alvarez is up there now. That started the one problem that Leake has had in this game. That was in the 4th after striking out Overbay. 4 straight Pirates reach. They turned that into 2 runs to tie the game. But Leake had a great bounce back 5th. And that effort paid off as his offense came alive with 7 in the bottom of the 5th inning.
Well, if there's ever a time to go out and throw strikes and be ultra aggressive, it's right after your team scores 7 for you in the bottom of the 5th inning. You come back in the 6th and throw nothing but strikes.
By Francisco into left. And Alvarez has himself a hit.
Better than a walk.
Fourth hit by the Pirates. The Reds have out hit them now 11-4. Both bullpens are busy. Reds have the righty Jordan Smith up. Pirates the lefty Joe Beimel.
Now, this will probably be the last inning for Mike Leake either way. Hopefully he gets through the inning nice and clean. But, you know, they want to protect him in his pitch count. Last year they had to shut him down towards the end of the year. They're worried about too many pitches and too many innings on his arm. They want him strong toward the end of the year this year. That means taking care of him in April. That'll do it.
They get their second double play in this afternoon. A 4-6-3 job ends the top of the 6th inning. Reds coming up on the bottom half. All Yanish. That was the overplay against Ryan Domit, cheating up the middle. Still had to dive to his left and make that play. He made his name on defense, and he's hoping to add to his game by showing folks that he's a better hitter than they give him credit for. Came in today over 300. Coors Light Freeze Can, Paul Janisch. Let's go now to Jim Day with an update on injured Reds pitcher Johnny Cueto.
Johnny Cueto pitched for the Bats this afternoon. He went 3 1/3 innings, gave up only 2 hits, and they got him down now as 1 earned run, so they just changed that. 2 base on balls and 4 strikeouts. He threw 55 pitches, 32 of which were strikes. So they originally had him as no earned runs. They have just changed that to 1 earned run, but however you look at it, 55 pitches, 3 1/3. That's good news for Cincinnati.
All right, thank you, Jim. So that's down in Louisville today. So he would figure to make another start 5 days from now, also for Louisville on the 21st. And Homer Bailey will go tomorrow.
I would say at least 1 more start, Jim. I mean, if you're only giving yourself 3 innings plus down there, you've got to work yourself up to the point where when you start as a major league pitcher, you're not going to go out there knowing that you've got to be pulled after 5 innings and you're going to start wasting the bullpen. You know, it's not like spring training when you've got 20 guys in the bullpen ready to pitch. You've got a limited number of guys, and depending on, you know, what the situation is, they want to extend him and get him strong enough to be able to pitch 6 or 7 innings.
Mike Leake had very big bounce back 5th and another 3-batter 6th. So he came through that 4th where he was a little off his game, got right back on the horse and did a pretty good job. Now Joe Beimel is taking over.
Beimel's been around a little bit. Originally drafted by the Pirates back in 1998. He was an 18th round draft pick right out of Duquesne University, which is right there in downtown Pittsburgh. He's a Pennsylvania boy, born in St. Mary's. Last year, those were his numbers with the Colorado Rockies. Also, he's pitched for the Nationals, the Dodgers, the Devil Rays, the Minnesota Twins. He's one of these left-handers that throws way across his body, almost a sidewinder. He'll step right towards the Reds dugout and then give you kind of a crossfire look. And in the past, what he's been used as, you see the motion, this is looking right from behind home plate. He kind of steps one way and throws the other, and everything he throws kind of cuts away from a left-hander. A lot of times, Joe Beimel will have more games appeared in than innings pitched, so he's really a situational lefty. Last year, for instance, he was in 71 ball games with the Rockies. They only pitched 45 innings, so he came in really to get 1 batter out a lot.
A non-roster invitee to spring training for the Pirates this year, then went on the DL late in spring. Began on a rehab assignment at Indianapolis, suffering from left elbow inflammation. He's making his first appearance of the season here. McCutcheon's going to run out of room. Off the wall. There goes Votto. He's going to get 3. Standing with a triple, Joey Votto.
You know, it's just amazing how much power Joey Votto generates on pitches that it looks like he doesn't get completely. He looks like he gets underneath this ball and it might stay in the ballpark. Now, it may have been a little bit aided by the wind, but Andrew McCutcheon, playing a very shallow center field, gets burned right here. Almost out of here, about 2 feet from hitting the top of the wall. It bounces away, and a leadoff triple for the Reds' first baseman. Man, is he locked in.
So after not getting a hit last night, he's made the Pirates pay today. He's 3 for 4.
Yeah, he's glad to be out of San Diego, too, because that baby doesn't even get to the warning track out there at Petco.
There were, as you know, any number of balls hit hard there, and most of them ended up in leather. Only the second triple of the year by the Reds. Stubbs hit the first. Now Votto gets one. Reds have pounded out a dozen hits. Lead 9-2 here in the 6th. to charge into one. His second of the game.
Dugout right there. The fans are calling for Johnny Gomes to come out again.
He's not usually very shy, but he hasn't come out yet. An 11-2 Reds advantage now. 4 home runs in this game. 9th, as you saw there, multi-home run game of Johnny Gomes' career.
Well, he blisters. This ball is just all over it. Fastball very similar to the spot that he hit the ball out on a high fastball from James McDonald earlier in the ball game in his first at bat. They're having some fun at the ballpark today.
Scored only the 1 run last night. That was on the Jay Bruce home run, and we were teasing in the pregame about generating some offense. It's come around today.
It certainly has. You never know when it's going to come out, and they're getting plenty of them from Mike Leake. In fact, Mike Leake came into this ball game today, I think, averaging just through his first 2 starts a run support average of over 10, and that's going to go up now. So sometimes it's not how you pitch, it's when you pitch.
Duly noted. Leake will end up, and we figure he's finished through 6. With a strong beginning and a strong end to his 3rd start. Bruce is a strikeout victim for the 2nd out of the inning. Really, all this good offense that has been generated in the last 2 innings started with the base hit by this guy, Francisco.
In there in this inning because of so many lefties that were due up. Votto, Bruce, Francisco, and this is a good learning experience for a guy like Juan Francisco to see a lefty specialist, a veteran that comes in who has made a real nice career out of coming in and getting left-handers out. Meanwhile, Mike Leake gave the Reds exactly what they needed today.
Chases that one and is a strikeout victim.
Yeah, very much the same type of at bat and sequence that Weimel had against Jay Bruce. Got ahead of him, then finished him off with a breaking ball, and the 2 inexperienced left-handed hitters go down easily. You can just see the real the difference between Joey Votto at the plate against Joe Weimel and Jay Bruce and Juan Francisco.
Back-to-back strikeouts by Weimel. Hernandez has had a big day, 3 for 3. Cedeno throws out Hernandez, but the Reds score 2 more and lead 11-2 through 6 in the second game of this series.
The Mets, I think they were today. Maybe they were good old-fashioned hot dogs, but that is baseball fare here this afternoon.
No question about that at all.
How many of those bratwursts did you put away, Jim Kelch?
No brats. I went the route of the Met today.
Did you?
Yes.
Good for you.
Edgar Renteria has taken over at second base for Miguel Cairo for the Reds, and here's the right-hander Jordan Smith.
Jordan Smith's been very good. He was all ticketed for down in the minor leagues to start the year, but a couple of injuries on the big league team forced him to come up here, and he has shown a lot of people that maybe that he should be staying up here. A guy that's seemingly unfazed by any situation you put him in. He's got good stuff, but what I really like about Jordan Smith is the fact that he's able to control his breaking pitches, and he throws them at any count. He's got a slider, a little slower pitch like a curveball. He's got a nice changeup. I think he uses that split as a changeup, but he's not afraid to throw that breaking ball in a situation where the hitter's looking for a fastball, and that's why he's been successful.
That'll get in the hole and into right off the bat of Garrett Jones to start the 7th inning. Couple of changes for the Reds. You see Miguel Cairo there. He has moved from second to first base. Renteria has taken over at second base. Joey Votto out of the game, and he put in a good day's work. 3 out of 4. Scored a couple of runs, including that triple. Stole a base. Good afternoon for Joey. He's out. Miguel moves over to first. Something that we saw Cairo do some last year when Votto was out with an injury. He played some first base, and something that Dusty Baker talked about yesterday regarding the second baseman Renteria, saying yes, he will play some second base this year, but he would be my third second baseman behind Phillips and Cairo, and he gets his first action at 2B today. Renteria, of course, started an 0-for-4 at shortstop in the game last night. Mike Leake, 6 innings, 2 runs, 4 hits, 4 walks, 6 strikeouts, 101 pitches. Got to be as happy as anything with the job that he did, Chris, in the 5th and 6th, coming off that shaky 4th.
Well, you know, it's all about adjusting, and for Mike Leake, it was really looked like he took a mental time out there during the 4th inning when he struggled to throw strikes. He had a visit from Brian Price, got him right back on track, got aggressive, got out of the inning, and the next couple of innings he pitched very well. So, and in the meantime, of course, the Reds scored big numbers for him, so he's in line for the W.
Smith gets the ground ball, picked by Francisco. Nicely done down there. Pitcher spot due up, and the Pirates will make a change here. John Bowker, the former outfielder with the Giants, comes off the bench. Appears for the first time in this series. The Pirates will employ a fourth pitcher in this game in the bottom of the seventh. Stubbs makes the catch, and Jones thought about tagging but stayed put. His club down by 9 here in the seventh. Bowker, the pinch hitter, disposed of. McCutchen is 1 out of 3. Pirates had given up 7 runs to the Rockies on the 7th of April. That's the most they had given up prior to this game. And so this is a season high in terms of runs and hits against their ball club this year. Not the highest run total for the Reds, however. They produced 13 in a game earlier this season. Check that, 12 in a game earlier this year. In fact, they've done it twice, against Milwaukee and against Houston. Each of those two teams involved in that opening homestand.
You know, Jordan Smith throws what a lot of people refer to as a heavy ball. You play catch with him, it's like playing catch with a guy throwing you a shot put. You can see that ball is late action when it's down in the zone, and man, you don't get that on the sweet spot. You really feel it as a hitter.
He walks McCutchen, so the Pirates have 2 on with 2 out here in the 7th inning. He is emerging this year, isn't he, as kind of a go-to guy for Dusty?
Well, I'll tell you what, the Reds have a lot of really good players, and I don't know if they're any deeper in any other position than they are pitching. And I'm talking about going right down into their minor leagues all the way to Double-A. They've got some great arms. Logan Ondrusek has established himself as a real fine relief pitcher, running his record of 7-0 to start his career. Just gave up his first run of the year last night. Jordan Smith has come on. They plucked him right out of Double-A last year and brought him up to the big leagues. And he showed himself to be very ready. He's got good stage presence out there, and he's got good command of his stuff. You can go on and talk about all the good arms that they have. I mean, but, you know, you and I were both very impressed, as long as everybody else saw them. You know, just the arms themselves that they had in spring training. You go down and watch these guys warm up, and I mean, everybody down there is throwing 92 or 93 or more. And you haven't even talked about your veteran guys, you know, guys like Massett and Cordero, and a hard thrower like Aroldis Chapman.
Renteria's first action of the game will result in a out at first for Tabata and an end to the top of the 7th. Stretch time at Great American Ballpark. Reds enjoying a big offensive afternoon. Park tomorrow when the Reds battle these Pittsburgh Pirates. Be one of the first 30,000 here in attendance, and you'll receive a Reds team baseball card set courtesy of Thompson Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. For tickets, 513-381-REDS or visit Reds.com. New pitcher on for the Pirates, their fourth. This is right-hander Chris Resop.
5 games pitched for Resop. He's struck out at least a batter in each one of those games, but he's also walked 4 in his appearances. They've got a pretty good back end of the bullpen, do the Pittsburgh Pirates. Didn't see it last night with the complete game effort of Charlie Morton, but Hanrahan, the closer, always been a very capable pitcher. Evan Meek and Jose Veras give them pretty nice setup guys.
That complete game effort by Charlie Morton last night equaled the total number of complete game efforts turned in by the Pirates a year ago. In fact, Paul Maholm, the only Pirate to have a complete game in 2010, he did it on July the 18th, or their 91st game. They get it last night in their 12th game.
Well, I would suggest that Charlie Morton's going to throw quite a few more of those. He looked dominant last night, and he did it really with just 2 pitches, and a guy that looks like a completely different pitcher this year than he has in the past.
Giannis has a hit today. He's 1 out of 3. Renteria waits on deck. A little switch in the batting order by the Reds when they brought Renteria and Smith in with Votto leaving. Renteria went into the number 9 spot and Jordan Smith in the 3-hole. Joey Votto getting his first break of the year. So Edgar waits on deck. Hit hard enough to be a hit, but played nicely by Walker for out number 1. Take the Reds with you wherever you go this season. Subscribe to MLB.tv today to see every Reds game live or on demand on your computer and your favorite devices. With MLB.tv Premium, you can enjoy HD quality, home and away coverage, multi-game view, and the ability to pause and rewind live games. Visit Reds.com to order and get more details. That's MLB.tv, baseball everywhere. Renteria, we mentioned, played last night, was nothing out of 4. Edgar comes into this game at .438, 7 hits and 16 at bats, with 4 runs batted in. Well, Giannis has got to feel fortunate, doesn't he, Chris? He's had 2 veteran shortstops the last 2 years to learn from, to talk to. Orlando Cabrera a year ago and Edgar Renteria this year.
Oh, that's a positive way of looking at it right there, Jim, is say, all right, I'm going to learn something from these guys, because Orlando Cabrera and Edgar Renteria have a lot to offer. I mean, with their careers and as good of players as they have been, I mean, it's time to take a look and learn something from them. On the negative side, it probably cost Paul some playing time, especially last year. But, you know, to Giannis's credit, you know, he keeps his mouth shut. He works hard. He comes out here. He's one of the first guys to show up, and you know, his time has come, and he has shown himself very capable defensively, and they're just hoping that the guy hits enough to be an everyday shortstop here for a long time, because there are not too many shortstops around the league with the arm and the range that Paul Giannis has.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about his range, but you mentioned on a couple of occasions today the strong arm that he has.
I mean, you know, it's hard for a pitcher to throw 94 miles an hour. As I recall, they pitched Paul Giannis in 2009 in one of those blowout games. Now, he didn't have a good pitching line. I think he pitched a couple of innings, gave up 9 hits, 11 runs, a couple of home runs, but they had him, you know, on the radar gun at 94 miles an hour. So don't worry about the pitching line. Just look at the arm strength. And when you get deep into the hole and you need some arm strength, boy, it's nice to be able to rear back and fire it across the infield the way Giannis can. I mean, he is a terrific fielder. And also remember that the Reds have a real fine shortstop prospect down at AAA right now, and Zach Cozart. So, you know, it's no time for anybody to rest.
And another guy down there, Chris, who played shortstop 2 years ago, then switched to second and was the International League's best defensive second baseman in Chris Valleca.
Yeah, Chris Valleca playing second base now. And, of course, a lot of people are looking at Billy Hamilton, who's down in the lower minor leagues, but young man that is very speedy. He's already picked up a number of stolen bases, and you know, they think this kid is not too far away from the major leagues.
And many say he is on what they call the fast track.
So it's really, you know, baseball's like that. Yes, you go to big league camp and you're on the roster and so on, but there's a reason why there's another 4 or 5 fields down there, and they're filled with young players that all want your job. So you never have a chance to sit around and rest.
The big fields get all the viewing, but a lot of work going on in those back diamonds in spring training.
They're hungry down there.
Here's Cairo with a runner on and 2 men out. Reds owning a 9-run lead here in the bottom of the 7th. Cedeno will make the play to end the bottom of the 7th. Reds are stranded 6, but scored 11 and lead big through 7. Part of an 11-2 Reds lead here in the top of the 8th inning. Coors cold hard blast delivered by that man right there. He has 2 of the biggest home runs now of the season for the Reds. The opening day walk-off homer against Milwaukee, and the grand slam here in this game in the 5th. Bill Bray, meanwhile, takes over, becoming the Reds' 3rd pitcher.
Leake Smith and now the left-hander Billy Bray.
Has done a very good job this year. Always distinctive because of those red socks that are showing. He wears the pants up near the knee. In fact, I was walking behind a young man in spring training. I told Bill this story. He was dressed just like Bill and had a jersey on that said Bray, copying Billy.
They have legs like that, though. I mean, you talk about a guy who's solidly built from the waist down. He has got a strong trunk, strong legs. Maybe he hikes those socks up there to show off his calves, huh?
Chance for Stubbs. And the out. New from 20th Century Fox, Rio, a movie that will bring the world to its feet, in theaters now.
Of course, they bring Billy Bray in at this part of the lineup. This is a spot in which the Pirates are running out 5 consecutive left-handed hitters or potentially left-handed hitters. Neil Walker is a switch hitter, so he'll go around and hit from the right side.
Prior to break, Jordan Smith, 1 inning, no runs, 1 hit, 1 walk. Another good performance by him. Neil Walker, as Chris alluded to, now bats from this side of the plate for the first time as a light rain starts to come down. Thus the fans headed for cover. Francisco Cordero with a sweatshirt on, lightly throwing out in the Reds bullpen.
I like that guy's little jacket back here. What do you think? You ever had one like that?
Those are at exclusive stores that I don't visit.
Well, actually, you can get them right on the outside of stores. You lift the lid, and if there's not a whole lot of garbage in there, you can just take that liner out and make yourself a nice, trendy jacket.
Shiny and everything.
You better be careful walking up those stairs. I'd hate to fall wearing that jacket. No arms to be able to protect you. Talk about a face plant.
Reds broke this one open with a 7-run 5th inning. Lead now 11-2 here in the top of the 8th. There's some more of that shiny look.
Now those are legitimate.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a Buckeye fan.
Tom would wear one of those, wouldn't he?
Yeah, you never know. He went to Ohio University. It's like the best kept secret.
Full-fledged Buckeye
family. Yeah, he's a full-fledged Buckeye now. I can't blame him.
OU versus OSU. Actually, TOSU, the Ohio State University. Renteria will make this play. Gray is 2/3 of the way home here in the 8th. Third game of this series will come up tomorrow. It'll start at 1:10, and Edinson Volquez will go for the Reds. Despite shaky starts in each of his first 3 games, he does have a pair of wins.
Well, you know, he's had shaky first innings, but I think that when he finally gets past the point, and we'll talk about it obviously tomorrow, Jim, but when Edinson Volquez gets past the point where he, you know, gets in a little bit of a groove or finds his rhythm, I mean, he has been lights out. And, you know, I know he's working on trying to get through the first inning, make some adjustments maybe in his warm-up and his mental approach. But if that's all you can complain about is having one bad inning and it's the first one, and then you end up throwing 97, dealing with your changeup and your slider or curveball later in the game, you'll take that.
In his last start, he gave up 2 runs in the first Monday at San Diego, but then was as strong as you could be for 5 innings after that. Dusty's club looking for its 9th win of the year here today. Colorado, the leader in all of baseball, with 11 wins. They're 11-2. They've won 7 in a row. They've gotten off to one heck of a start. Jim Hurdle's old club.
Good club.
Alvarez draws the walk, 6th walk given to the Pirates today. Bronson Arroyo, yesterday's starter, holding court down there in the Reds dugout. We should see the man in the middle, Brandon Phillips, in tomorrow's lineup. Ryan Doman, another switch hitter, bats from the right side for the first time. He has a hit today, 1 out of 3. Bounced into one of the 2 double plays turned by the Reds defense. By Francisco and headed to the corner. Alvarez held at third, second and third with 2 out. Second hit of the day for Ryan Doman.
Well, Doman also a switch hitter, coming around and hitting from the right side, and rips this one right by Francisco. This ball is really scalded. Juan can't get over there in time, and it's an easy double.
Third double of the year for Doman, and now Bray will face the lefty Garrett Jones. Second and third and 2 men out. Jones been on all 3 times today with the 2 hits and a walk. Was on 4 times last night. He won't get on this time as Renteria throws him out to end the top of the 8th. 2 more stranded for the Pirates. Bottom of the 8th upcoming. Exclusive interviews with the starting pitcher and the stars of the game. That's Reds Live post-game, brought to you by King's Honda in the King's Auto Mall. Visit KingsHondaUSA.com. A lot of good things we hope to talk about after this game. 11-2 Reds heading into the last of the 8th. And still another new pitcher on for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Look at the moves on that young man.
I believe that is the son of one of our camera guys, J.K. Smith. Casey. Casey's right here. Doing the dance. Just trying to stay warm.
Oh, that's what that's all about.
Those are the moves his dad taught him, I think.
Here's Evan Meek, their setup man, coming on to work the bottom of the 8th.
70 games last year for Evan Meek. This is his 6th game this year. Hard-throwing right-hander from Bellevue, Washington.
Chris Heisey pinch hits for Bill Bray. Figures that Francisco Cordero in a non-save situation will come on and work the 9th inning. Heisey hit it well, but will result in a 1-3 putout to start the home 8th.
Meek's numbers last year were very, very good. 80 innings overall for Meek. He only gave up 53 hits. He struck out 70 and had an earned run average down right around 2. So between Evan Meek and Joel Hanrahan, when the Pirates are able to get their ball club winning into the 8th inning, they turn it over to pretty good hands in the bullpen.
Here's Johnny Gomes. Say, Reds fans, right here, right now, this weekend. Book your trip at CincinnatiUSA.com. Gomes has had a big day. A pair of home runs, solo in the 2nd, 2-run shot in the 6th. As we said, we figure to see that man tomorrow. Missed the last couple of games with a strained right groin. Dusty reluctant to put him in the type of weather that we've had the last 2 days. Wasn't going to play yesterday anyway, and probably not today. Certainly nothing that he saw out of how the weather was made him change his mind.
And it's not necessarily the cool weather. It was the prospect for rain and wet grass out there, because, you know, he injured his groin when he planted to throw, and then the foot slipped out from underneath him, and Dusty didn't want to see that happen again. And it's killing Brandon to be on the bench. I mean, here's a guy that wants to play every day. He's played through a lot of injuries last year. I think played the most games of anybody on this ball club, and the guy wants to be in there.
Well, here's Dusty talking about Brandon Phillips out of the lineup.
He's doing better. He said he's doing better. He hasn't really tested it yet. You know, he'll probably do that a little bit more today. And, you know, again, he's day to day. So we just got to take our time with this thing. You know, the fact that, you know, I mean, Brandon said, hey, man, you know, you do and we do what's necessary to get him back and get him back, you know, for a long period of time.
So often you hear, particularly early in the season, you'd rather miss 2 or 3 days now than 2 or 3 weeks later on.
Well, if there's a way to guarantee that, that's a smart thing to do. But you never really know. That's why you've got to play it conservative, and you've got to just kind of go with your gut. And Dusty Baker takes the key from, you know, a cue from a lot of other managers that have managed before him that will have always said, listen, I'll take a guy when he says he's ready, and then take one more day and then put him in. And, you know, I think even going back generations, managers have done that with their players because they know that players want to play. And sometimes they'll keep quiet about injuries just because they want to be in there. Dusty was probably the same way.
Brandon off to a very good start, swinging a hot bat in the early part of the season. And he's already turned in some highlight plays at second.
Man, oh man, maybe the best second play by a second baseman I've seen in a long time is the one he turned in when the Reds needed it the most there in that San Diego series.
That barehand pick moving to his right.
Yep.
Dusty said the next morning in the clubhouse, Brandon actually practices that play, which is a little scary to do.
Well, you know, it's amazing to watch. If you really want something interesting, you come out early and watch the Reds take infield and batting practice.
That is a fair ball, cued over the bag and off the side wall. That will result in a single, but Francisco comes up lame down toward first base.
Well, I'm not sure what happened right there. He looks like he takes a swing and then immediately starts to hobble. Whether he hurt his knee or his ankle, but he doesn't want to put any weight at all on that left leg.
Paul Lassard, Dusty Baker out. And from watching that swing, it was really hard to tell, if at all, what happened with Juan Francisco. We know it's his left leg. He's putting a little bit more weight on it now. Doesn't appear to roll the ankle. Leads you to believe it could be a muscle injury. Well, he gets the base hit. Bruce moved over to third. The Reds will employ a pinch runner for Juan Francisco.
Looks like a lower leg, maybe down around the ankle.
Here's Travis Wood. Pitched very well in a non-victory role on Wednesday out in San Diego. Allowed just 1 run in 6 2/3 innings in his last start. He'll take over as a pinch runner. Well, we obviously don't know the seriousness of the injury as of yet, but if you try to look ahead, and if it is a situation where they need a body from AAA, we were talking about some of the players that they have down there earlier today.
Yeah, a lot of these guys are major league ready. They're already on the 40-man roster, and it's got to be a comfortable feeling for Walt Jocketty and Dusty Baker to know that you call down there and bring up somebody capable. That 25-man roster that you break camp with at the end of spring training to open up opening day, that expands somewhere between 30 and 35 players throughout the course of the season, depending on injuries and trades and people moving up and down from the minor leagues to the big leagues.
The Reds have not made a roster move yet this season, albeit only 2 weeks in. Started with the 5 players on the DL. Look at this lineup now down there. Todd Frazier, Dave Chappelle, Zach Cozart, Chris Valleca, Yonder Alonso, Devin Mesoraco, all big-time names within the Reds minor league system.
Yeah, you've got Brian Barton. He was former St. Louis Cardinal. And then remember, you've got Fred Lewis, who is down doing a rehab assignment, the outfielder, left-handed hitting outfielder that the Reds have signed. He's on the major league roster, 40-man roster. So plenty of there to choose from, depending on what position you need.
He's down at the AA team rehabbing, as you said, and all indications are that he's going to spend some time down there to get his stroke back and get the ABs in that he hasn't gotten. Giannis with a base is loaded now. Paula hitting this game 1 out of 4. That was that bunt single back in the 4th, snapping an 0 for 13 drought for him. Talking about tomorrow's starters, Volquez against Jeff Carsons. What a big-time trade the Pirates made with the Yankees back the trading deadline 08, getting Ross Ollendorf, who's now on their DL, Daniel McCutchen, Jose Tabata, and Karstens for Xavier Nady and Damaso Marte. All those players still with the Pirates almost 3 years later. He'll go tomorrow. 5 pitchers we talked about yesterday that lost in double figures for the Bucks last year. Ray Searage on your right, Clint Hurdle, the manager of the Pirates, there on the left. Yeah, and they're trying to add to a 15-hit attack for the Reds thus far this afternoon. Popped up on the left side, and Ronnie Cedeno handles it, sending the Pirates now to the plate for the 9th time today. Reds in front 11-2. He's now in left. And Scott Rowland takes over for the injured Juan Francisco at third. And a new pitcher on for the Reds is the right-hander Nick Massett.
Pitcher number 4 on the afternoon for Dusty Baker. Nick Massett coming on here trying to get things right. And he's had a rough go of it. The Reds have seen him blow some saves, end up with 3 losses overall already. There's the 0-3 record. He's walked 5 batters in his 5 innings. He has given up, or in 6 innings, he's given up 12 hits. So Nick Massett's just a little bit off right now. You know, he went through a similar time last year about this time, and you know, people were yelling for him to be taken out of his setup role, but as it turned out, Massett played a key part in this Red success last year down the stretch.
They'll try to have a sharp 9th inning here, facing Ronnie Cedeno, the shortstop, to get it going with the comfort of a 9-run lead.
Well, one thing you wonder about with Nick Massett is in 2009 he appeared in 74 ball games and 76 innings. Last year he appeared in 82, so he's been a workhorse. And you wonder if that kind of use over the last couple of years eventually will take its toll. You wouldn't think that would be that way early in the year, but certainly something to keep your eye on.
He appeared in some key situations in that road trip out in Arizona and San Diego, and charged with a couple of blown saves in those games. He wasn't in a save situation, but trying to get it to the closer in Francisco. In that last game on Wednesday the 13th out there. Also on the game on Tuesday the 12th. So in back-to-back games in San Diego, he let a lead slip away late. Pirates have a pinch hitter, Stephen Pierce, on deck to bat for Meek. nice job to get the leadoff man, Cedeno, and out number 1. This week, NASCAR and Fox moves to Martinsville, where Denny Hamlin will try to defend his title and take home his 4th straight checkered flag on that track. Coverage of Sprint Cup Series racing begins tomorrow with a pre-race show at 12:30 Eastern in HD on Fox.
The strikeout pitch by Nick Massett of Ronnie Cedeno is a fastball down. Cedeno may have even chased one out. Our Fox track shows it to be a strike, but on a 3-2 count, went back with his number 1 pitches, which is that fastball. You know, Massett's got about 4 or 5 pitches, which may be one of the things that can be confusing for him. I mean, he's got, as a former starter in the White Sox organization, he had 127 starts in the minor leagues. He developed a lot of different pitches. Fastball, splitter, curveball, cutter, slider, changeup.
So it begs the question, is that too many?
Well, he doesn't use them all in tight situations. And right now, from what I've seen in Massett, I mean, his big problem is just throwing the ball down the middle of the plate. If you keep his stuff on the corners, I mean, he's very tough to hit.
Well, he's facing the pinch hitter, Steve Pearce, who this year hitting .273, 3 hits and 11 at-bats. Batting for Evan Meek. Pittsburgh used 5 pitchers in this game. The starter, James McDonald, is the pitcher of decision on what will turn out to be, it looks like, the losing side for the Pirates, and Mike Leake, the starter for the Reds, on the victorious side. So it looks like this series is headed for Game 3, even at 1-1. This is a rare 4-game series. Finishes up on Monday night. That ball headed right to Nick Leyva, a long time big league coach down at third base. Over 30 years in coaching minor leagues and the big leagues for Nick Leyva.
Second consecutive strikeout on a 3-2 pitch. Now, he's not sharp yet, but he's struck out the first 2 batters he sees. There you see the grip of Nick Massett. That's looks like just a 2-seam fastball coming up.
Well, the Reds in search of the 27th out now of this game have Andrew McCutchen at the plate for the Pirates. He's 0 for, check that, 1 for 3 with a walk in this one. Reds pitchers have walked 6 in this game. Lead 11-2 here in the 9th with 2 men out. Two strikeout of Cedeno, 3-2 strikeout of Pearce, and now Massett has fallen behind McCutchen 3-0. Splits the plate with that one.
See how far he can hit it here.
26,418 on a brisk Saturday afternoon here at Great American Ballpark. 26,418. And a good deal of them have hung around, ready to cheer on the Reds' 9th win of the season. Well, they've had some less than desirable weather to deal with last night and tonight. Hopefully we'll see them out here tomorrow where the sun supposedly is going to be shining. Well, he walks McCutchen, so Andrew on for the 3rd time in this game. Extends the life of the Pirates. One more batter at least. Jose Tabata. He's 0 for 4 in this game after going 4 for 5 last night.
That is 8 walks now. Reds pitchers have given the Pirates this afternoon. They're darn fortunate that the Pirates have only scored 2 runs. Hits have been hard to get for Pittsburgh. They've only picked up 6 of those, but every Reds pitcher brought into the ballgame has walked at least 1. Mike Leake walked 4.
Leake had a couple of 1, 2, 3 innings.
Yep, you forget all about that when your team picks up 15 hits and scores 11 runs.
Robert went around, and now Massett has the Reds within a strike of victory number 9. Game over. Reds get the victory, and even this series is 4-game set against the Pirates at 1 apiece as they defeat the Pittsburgh club today by the final score of 11-2. They certainly, Chris, got a lot of offense in this game, 15 hits, but the adjustment that Mike Leake made after the 4th, coming back to work a strong 5th and 6th.
Well, he was
part of this game.
You know, Jim, he was probably only a batter or 2 away from being taken out of the ball game. He walked all those batters, had a rough 4th inning when he worked through that left-handed part of the order, but quick trip to the mound by Brian Price got him back on track. He came back and pitched very well until Jordan Smith took over in the 7th inning. So congratulations to Mike Leake picking up the victory. Reds offense, they were booming it today. No bigger boom than the one hit by Ramon Hernandez, a grand slam into the second deck in left field. That kind of set the tone, and it was a runaway ball game.
11-2 final. The Reds a winner over the Pirates. Back with more right after this.